To order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Sorrentino. Here. Alderman Jacob.
Here.
Alderman Woods.
Here.
Alderman Sismarski.
Here.
Alderman Roy Wesley. Alderman Eugene Wesley. Alderman Catalano.
Here.
Alderman Messina.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. Make the motion to approve the minutes from August 13th, 2020. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That passes. Report and recommendation. Approval of annexation and rezoning from R1 to R4 for the property 6N204 Ash Street, which will be known as 420 North Ash Street, case number CDC-2020-06. I assume we have a small presentation, or?
Second.
That was my motion.
Second.
Correct, just a quick
Mayor.
brief PowerPoint just to run through. As you will recall, back in 2015, the City Council approved an incentive for voluntary annexation. We had a number of meetings where we discussed annexation. The preference was voluntary and provide an incentive. So what the City Council did, which is working out very well, which is the waiver of some fees, the $5,000 incentive, with the rule that the property owner must connect to city services and voluntary annex into the city. So that was back in 2015. We've had a number of people take advantage of this. This is another one, kind of mid-block on Ash Street. And with the annexation would come, so properties annexed, it comes in as R1. To be consistent with the zoning in that area, it would be rezoned to R4. This is the property in question on Ash. The remainder of the properties are in the city. The only other unincorporated is one to the north right here. Zoning map, as you can see, that's the subject property right there, which would become 420 North Ash. And obviously, in terms of zoning, we took a look at what was around it. The property's really very consistent with the R4 zoning district. It doesn't require any relief or any variances, so that made more sense just from a zoning standpoint. This is what the house looks like right now, about a quarter of an acre lot, 11,000 and change square feet. One-story brick building with a carport, and I think we have the survey, yes. So this will kind of give you an idea. The length of the lot, 147, just under 148 feet, 75 feet in width. And then just to clarify, there's no changes required other than the rezoning from R1 to R4. And with that, I will stop talking if anyone has any questions.
Any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Sorrentino.
Yes.
Alderman Jacob.
Yes.
Alderman Woods.
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski.
Yes.
Alderman Catalano.
Yes.
Alderman Messina.
Yes.
Alderman Eugene Wesley.
Mine's a yes.
Okay, that passes.
What's it?
Alderman Sismarski.
Yeah, Mr. Cage, I'd like to see about this address before we leave. There's an issue with the county.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Okay. Next, public displays of building permits on the subject property. Ed, I take it you're going to take this one as well.
Yeah, so let's so we've had some issues. Obviously, we have people who get permits, people who don't have permits. The problem that we're having is that some people are getting permits and not posting the permits, which is frustrating for a number of different reasons. Obviously, if you take the time and the effort to get a permit, you really should display the card. So what we have in the packets is an example of a building permit form. It's noted on the card. I listen to the permit tech every day tell people to display the permit. Really, what we're talking about, a small number of people. who aren't posting the permit. Essentially what it does is it wastes a lot of staff time checking if they have a permit or not. And so I know this came up before, and what we're suggesting is that not only do we have it in writing on the actual permit form, so we've clarified that, not only do we tell the applicant they need to post the green form, this is the green form that we all see, the actual permit card itself. So we want to make it clear, but really I think just my opinion, the way to get people's attention the most is when people call for inspection if they don't have their card up. The delay in not having an inspection really gets people's attention. So what we're trying to do is remind everybody to do the right thing. You took the time, you paid the money to get a permit, do the right thing, post it. If you have 2 or 3 permits out at once, post all the permit cards. We don't want to make a big issue out of it, but in this, the proposal is that we would have to do a re-inspection, cancel the inspection, because right now in the master fee schedule that the council approved a couple of years ago, there's a re-inspection fee. So that's existing right today in the master fee schedule. With a re-inspection fee, it's an $80 charge. So rather than institute a new fine where we would have to amend the master fee schedule, this is the proposal in front of you, and it's really up to the council to decide if that's appropriate or not. And with that, I will stop talking.
Now, the question I have, so once they call to have the inspection done, and we're just gonna tell them, it's been noted that you have not had the permit displayed, so we are not gonna come and inspect, we're gonna re-inspect and after you put the permit sign up?
Yes, Chairman, so the homeowner picks up the permit, we remind them verbally, obviously they sign the document, or they pick up the document, the green card that goes in the window, it's clearly on that, we remind them. If the permit card is not posted, they call for an inspection, we will take a note because typically what happens is we do get calls from people checking whether people have permits or not. When the inspectors are out and about, they do stick to certain areas. They do know who has a permit and who hasn't. If the permit card is not displayed, they will not get the inspection time or slot that they want. Obviously, in the summer, that pushes them back some time. And really, the $80 re-inspection fee is one thing. Really, I think with most people, it's, especially if you're calling in the summer when it's busy, you want to get your time, you want to get your inspection so your contractor can move on or the homeowner can move on with their project. That's really where you kind of make the point that, guys, just please post the permit card so we can all move on. So yes, at that time, what we would do, we would cancel the inspection, you have to pay the re-inspection fee, and then you go back in line for the re-inspection.
Okay. Alderman Messina?
So the re-inspection fee you're proposing would be in addition to prior fee they would pay, or in lieu of?
So you have the regular permit fee for whatever it
Right.
is,
Yep.
depending on what kind of project they have. The re-inspection fee, typically what we do is you have one inspection's included in the permit fee.
Right.
If you pass, you move on to the, if it's a rough inspection, you move on, do some more work, and then do the final inspection. You're only charged a re-inspection fee if you keep failing the same inspection. That's already in the master fee schedule. What we would do is, even if we wouldn't conduct the inspection, we would just kind of push them back and then charge the re-inspection fee. If that makes sense.
Okay, Alderman Messina?
I mean, I think as we brought this, I think initially Alderman Jacob and I brought this to the attention, I do think that's a good plan because it kind of formalizes it. But at the same time, we were hoping for more the immediate impact of a fine. So just kind of curious on the logic of why we wouldn't just impose a straight up fine like you did not post your permit. Because I think it's gotten so bad and we have wasted so much time. And I don't care about our time as electeds, but I do care about staff time when it's on taxpayer dollars. So to me, I I guess I was, if you could help us understand the logical, why don't we just hit them with a fee and say, we told you so? Why didn't you listen? Like, to me, the inconvenience is one thing, but I'd rather hit them with a $50 fee and get their attention, say, okay, I think I better post this now.
So to, excuse me, to answer your question, anything other than a prescribed fine, a fee, we would have to modify the master fee schedule so that we'd have to have a public hearing, kind of go through the process. It would take some time, which, you know, if that's the decision, we can go in that direction. Typically, if it's not a standardized fines, when I say standardized, you would have a certain amount. If it's a non-standardized fine, then it would go to adjudication, and I think everybody knows that that's once a month. It does take time, and that's too, in my mind, too cumbersome for a project like this. So what I initially thought, if we were going to do a fine, you know, you would look at, you know, I'm not sure what the magic number is, but if you said $50 or $100 fine, we would have to go back to the master fee schedule, have a public hearing, enter it in, come back before you guys, and it would take some time to do, which is fine if that's the direction. The $80 reinspection fee, we felt that was a good idea because not only are you paying, you know, it kind of split the difference in the two amounts that I was thinking of first of all, but it's really the reinspection. Losing, you know, if you're in the summer and we've got inspections every single day and you miss that time slot, you can get pushed back 2, 3, 4 days, depending on how busy we are. So I think that's really what gets people's attention, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm open to, you know,
I just-
recommendations.
Alderman
And
Messina.
I just see the call I get now is going to be, I cannot believe it, I called for my permit, they pushed me back 3 days, can you call? And then we have to have a conversation and walk through it. So I just don't know how much teeth that would actually have and who's actually gonna enforce that. Whereas, you know what I mean? Whereas a fine, I felt like was, somebody's going to enforce it versus somebody calling you and pushing you, be like, please, they really need it done, whatever, they got this coming and that coming.
To answer that question, Alderman, we get those calls all the time. It's first come, first serve.
Okay.
In terms of inspections. During the summer, if we've got a big project like the one out on 83 going on, they could have, you know, 5 or 6 inspections at a time. I mean, a project like that goes through numerous inspections. So what we find is those big projects really takes up a lot of time. They'll set inspections up a whole week in advance. So it does push them back, but again, if we want to go back and select a number and make it a standardized fine, we can do that. This was thought to be kind of the easier and quicker way, but I'm certainly open to that.
Alderman Woods.
Yeah, how many of these things are we talking about? And if you know, what percentage is the actual contractor issue and the other percentage the homeowner issue? Because it's two different animals, I think.
Well, I could answer that since Alderman Messina and I brought this forward. It is mostly people that are buying homes and then just totally gutting them, and then residents are calling us saying, you know, there's no permit, and then we're emailing staff saying we have complaints about this property, could you please check? And I would say there's probably, just this summer alone, I would say at least 5 or 6 different occasions that this has happened in Ward 1.
But is it a contractor doing the work or the homeowners doing the work?
Mix of both.
I think it's a mix of both. I mean, I think it's a person that's buying the house as an investor.
Okay.
So I don't know if he's actually the contractor himself or he has people doing it.
So if I may, so I think to Mr. Cage's point that the $80 fine and not getting the inspection, for me, I don't care as much about the $80 as I do about the time, would quickly get somebody's attention. That being said, when you pass that out, I think that we maybe, I don't know how visible it is on the physical permit, saying that this needs to be posted. If it's not posted, we're gonna blow you're not gonna get the inspection, and you're gonna pay an $80 reinspection fee. And that's probably not too clear to them either, because that's gonna be billed in the rears too, right? Or do they have to come in and physically pay it before you'll reschedule the inspection?
Director Cage?
The intent was that to get the $80 to be paid, they would have to pay that and then schedule the inspection. And that's where that time element, if you've got people scheduled to work, you can't get the inspection, you can't move to kind of the next step, that's really where
So,
the pain is.
I personally think that that will work. I mean, it's a little heavy-handed. I don't run into that issue personally, but if it's an issue, I think that would take care of it. I think, though, that we need a page, one sheet attached that clearly states that in big bold letters so that, you know, that everybody understands it, so nobody has to go to small print anywhere or draw any conclusion.
Attach it to 20,000 copies we bought from Alpha Graphics.
And whatever.
Mayor?
Very simple, I'm looking at the permit here, it says there will be an $80 fee for failed re-inspections or inspections where the work is not ready. But nowhere does it say that if it's not posted on here.
Right, and that's why I'm saying,
We should have that, it's right on the permit, I'm looking right at the permit, the one you guys are showing, so
Yeah,
make that clear this way.
Mr. Mervis?
yeah, it does further down in the document say that you are supposed to, in capital letters, post this per the building code. So it is in there that you're supposed to do it. What we can simply do, as some of these forms have been obviously probably already ordered, I've seen different forms in community development. After they're ordered, you print one of those like neon little label stickers, and we can simply affix that with the added language to make it clear on all the documents. So I don't see that as being an issue. And already on our documents, technically it has been stating that, but as we've discussed here tonight, perhaps a little bit more strenuous of an approach with the actual, you know, clear language on a sticker.
Mayor, go ahead.
And, right, it says you need to post, but I just want to make sure that it doesn't say that you're not going to get inspected, so that, want to make that nice and clear, because otherwise you're going to have residents going, well, it doesn't say that. I don't want to hear that stuff.
So I would make a motion to do this along with adding the additional sticker on there, you know, stating that if they do not display it, they will lose their return and pay an $80 reinspection. That'll be my motion.
what, and to clarify that they actually have to come and pay the $80 before they can reinspect. And I would put it on an 8.5 by 11, something you can put, copy in the photocopier.
That'll be my motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sizmarsky?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Eugene Wesley?
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Items to be considered at future meetings? I'm sorry, did you, oh, okay. Okay, with nothing, I make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
For you have a question about permits? Right.
Sure, if you could go up to the,
They might be afraid to tell you, but in the future, man, come early, fill out the card, and you'll be up there without any problems.
What card do I have to fill out?
There's a little card up front there, but I'll leave you.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm new, so
It's okay, so I wanted to let you know.
I'm gonna learn. I noticed I've been reading booklets for Wooddell, and you have to have
okay,
permits.
could you also just state your name and address?
Yes, my name is Diane Gill. I live here in Wooddell at 174 Murray Drive.
Okay,
And I noticed, like, if you have a fence put up, you need a permit. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I don't remember all the other things. What about when somebody starts digging in their backyard and they start putting drainage systems? They need that?
Yes.
Okay, because my neighbor hasn't done that, I believe. He's been digging, and he had
Or he hasn't posted it, which is the whole conversation.
Yeah,
Right.
or they haven't posted it, which is the,
He's been digging over there, and he had his drains faced towards my building,
Okay.
which was my sister's at the time.
okay, well, we could, if you want to give Director Cage the address, and he'll check, and if there's a problem
Right,
there.
but I just wanted to know, that's a policy too. I mean, a fence is not as extreme as digging a drainage thing,
Yeah,
because he had his drains underground, and then I have flooding in my basement because of that. Mr. Art Woods came out, Alderman, and I did show him. And, you know, I believe he didn't have any permits. So he's in some kind of
okay,
violation.
yeah, so have Director Cage over there, you can give him the address, and then he will look into it.
Okay, because he did rework it, because I brought it to his attention. The CSO came out to the house, and he happened to be there, and I pointed out what was going on. And he was upset, the neighbor, because he heard me talking to him. But I'm upset also. I've got a problem now. The insurance is not gonna pick up on the damage done in the basement, because I got his overflow of water too. This was back in May when we had the heavy rains. We had it one day, and then like a day and a half, we had it again.
Okay,
So,
like I said, Director Cage will take care of it.
okay, and I would like to know also, will I get any kind of documentation from the village
And what-
Oh, yeah, and
for what I brought out? My
Um,
neighbor?
you could fill out a Freedom of Information Act form to, no? But, okay, yeah, talk to Ed Cage, he'll.
Okay. Sure, okay.
Alderman Woods?
Yeah, I mean, as this isn't supposed to be a debate, all this stuff is televised and all the minutes are taken, so all your comments would be recorded. But prior to, or after meeting with you, I have contacted Public Works and the police chief as we talked about those issues, and they're presently also looking into it too, so.
Because he's a contractor, and he does a lot of things, and he knows what can be done. And my sister was very ill the last few years. She didn't have any idea what was going on. I found out because I seen things, but I didn't know until I started doing the gardening, and then I could see what he did. He even had something on my property.
Okay, Mr. Cage will take down the
Okay,
information.
thank you
and
very
he'll-
much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We already made the motion to adjourn, so.
Yeah,
I'd like to bring the Public Works Committee meeting, let minute take a note that the same council members are present, and I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes of August 13, 2020, Public Works Committee meeting. That is my motion. Second. Any corrections? If there are none, roll call, please. Oh, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, report and recommendation, approval of the installation of the wind sculptures and lighting at the City Hall Metro Station and Elizabeth Court Detention Basin as recommended by the Streetscape and Economic Enhancement Committee. Do we have a presentation on that, Director?
Not on this one, Chairman, thank you. Just very briefly, we are in possession of 9 wind sculptures. We were asked by the council to find a new permanent home for them, as they used to be located at Wooddale Road and Irving Park Road, where the clock tower now stands. It was discussed at the Streetscape Committee, and they have a recommendation to split the wind chimes amongst 3 locations. You see there, the City Hall, the Metro Station, and the corner of Elizabeth Court and Wooddale Road near the detention basins. And they also made a recommendation to install lighting at each location with the ability to change colors. So we're looking for you to approve the Streetscape Committee's recommendation tonight.
So under this recommendation, there's an amount of $32,000, correct?
We will have to put the lighting out to bid.
Okay.
The first proposal that we got was upwards of $30,000. We're looking for ways to reduce that number, but we are going to publicly advertise it and receive bids for that.
Okay. Any questions on the motion?
who made the motion?
Here,
Go ahead.
I'll make a
You
motion
make
to
a motion?
approve.
I'll second. Wait, question.
Go ahead.
My question is, what are the conditions of these things? Because we haven't had them in the ground for, and where are they, inside, outside the building?
They were stored at Public Works, and they did need some minor repairs, which our vehicle maintenance crew did, and they are in relatively good condition.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is direction on purchases on installation of Veterans Memorial medallions. And we do have a presentation on this.
Yes, I'll just run through this very briefly because I know this was discussed somewhat at length, and then I'll open it up to discussion. I've just provided some options here to get the ball rolling, and feel free to, make any additional suggestions. So during the annual capital improvement plan meeting, staff was asked by council to once again revisit the service branch medallions for the Veterans Memorial. We have a few options here.
Okay.
I apologize, this doesn't appear to be working. Help if I had the power turned on. So we are seeking recommendation on the type of medallion and the location to be installed. Some considerations we took into account is visibility, ease of installation, and available power source for lighting. Lighting, if approved, will be advertised along with the wind chime lighting to get some better competitive pricing. And additional landscaping will be performed in-house by Public Works staff to increase the visibility and provide some further aesthetic value. So this is an example of the 36-inch bronze medallions. We have a quoted price for these at $40,000. It's much higher due to the need for a custom mold to create these. If we were to reduce the size of these, obviously they would be less visible. However, we could bring that price down. Another option is similar to what you see here, more of a vinyl mold. These are considerably cheaper. We have a quoted price for these of around $7,500 actually, to be furnished and installed, and these would be 36-inch also. Some proposed locations for these could be the straight short wall that you see here between the two buildings of the wastewater treatment plant. You see a small rendering there of the spacing, what it would look like for the 5 medallions. Also, it would be the curved wall behind the storm retention area. This would not be recommended as the curved wall presents problems of mounting, increased scaffolding.
Mayor, go ahead.
Great presentation. We've
Thank
talked
you, Mayor.
about this a few times. There is one wall you don't have up there, and I know I talked to you about it. I asked you a few days ago, you checked it out, you said it would fit. So the wall, the building to the north of that short wall, which the building is way up front, we had talked about cutting the trees up a little bit and stuff. I took a look at those trees. I'm not an arborist, but they're pretty rough shape. I was wondering if we could just cut those trees down, those pines that are kind of beat up already, put up the medallions on that building, and then light them up, of course, and then in front on the, basically the south side of the walkway, maybe get some nice boxwoods or something to cover up the electric that's there and whatnot, and maybe put a bed of flowers or something. Because I could tell you, I'm getting a lot of compliments from people about the flowers over at the clock tower. I've had quite a few people tell me, wow, it really looks nice over there. It's a big improvement, this and that. And instead of keeping those trees that honestly, I don't know, we're trying to keep them alive. I know we're a tree city, but those are kind of rough. And this would also eliminate the problem when people are coming from the west going east, that some of the complaints we've heard that you can't see the memorial until you're right on top of it. This will improve visibility. And we put them on that wall. And I'll be honest, I'm good with the bronze. It gives you a nice nostalgic type look.
Absolutely, and that wall would work well. It is a straight wall, which is easily to install on. There is an available power source there, so if the council is happy with that, I think that's a great idea.
I'll make that motion. Question? Go ahead, Alderman Sorrentino.
The face wall that talks about Veterans Memorial Park, Could anything go on there? Because that's probably the most visible.
I had explored that. They do have the pillars around there also. There's 4 of them, so we would have to add one if we wanted to put the monuments on that. The one downfall of that, although it is visible from Irving Park Road, is not visible from the current monument now. We could explore that option. There's kind of limited space on that piece of cast stone, so I'm not sure the size of the medallions you would get on there, but
What wall was the mayor talking about? Do you have the-
I actually don't have the picture of it up here, but
The
it's,
building that's next door to the parking lot, the taller building, you've got the walkway, little bridge that you walk right into the
Right,
memorial.
okay. So that wall is by the bridge.
Is it the building in that
Yeah.
picture in the
Right.
corner? No?
No.
It's over. Okay, I'm done first. Thank you.
Alderman Woods?
Yeah, if we could,
Go ahead.
slow down a little bit and amend that. And I appreciate the non-arborists wanting to wipe out everything and then plant boxwoods and flowers. He's got it all landscaped for a non-arborist guy. If we could actually physically see a picture of it, right, which we can bring to the next meeting, I'm all in favor of streamlining this, but I'd like to know what it is that we're approving as opposed to just the words that we're talking.
absolutely, I could have that prepared for the council meeting for approval, if you'd like.
Mayor, go ahead.
If we could.
So I just brought it up to put the medallions there. The landscaping, listen, I threw out boxwoods, could be anything. I'm sure they'll come up with some landscape plan. I just was throwing out.
No, I know, but we're
We're not-
making
we're
a
not-
motion to approve what you just said.
But not,
So that's what I'm saying.
What makes
Let's
the
let's
medallion?
slow the roll a little bit.
just the medallions. I think the motion was for the medallions.
On that building, right, on the north side of the building. Go ahead,
Yeah, as everyone knows, we've actually talked about this at the committee level probably at least 6 or 7 times. So I myself, when the mayor mentioned that to me, I had forgotten that option, and that was actually one of the favorite options the council had brought up before about trimming some of those trees at first, and then eventually maybe getting rid of them altogether, and that could be an ideal spot. So Alderman Woods was stealing my thunder. I was going to recommend that we get that graphic in next week, and really all we're doing tonight is proceeding with, some medallions in theory with the placement where they would be next week,
Right.
on pictures, so
So the motion is to proceed forward with the medallions.
pending location
Bronze,
certification.
yeah. Alderman Sismarski?
Yeah, I don't know if they want to go with the vinyl. I don't know how long that lasts. It starts fading. But if you're gonna put the medallions on that wall, I would be remiss not to say we put a saying on the other wall, saying Wooddale Veterans Memorial, or some saying, some gave all, some gave some gave all, something to put on that wall, because that wall's blank. That's where we were gonna put the medallions to begin with. Like the city manager said, we've been over this at least 10 times, not 6, more, at least 10. We've had stuff picked out already. We've already had medallions picked. Those aren't the ones we picked either, so.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think just for sake of moving this project along, we
mean,
were asked to focus solely in on the medallion aspects. I know this
I'm
was
all
all
in
part of a
favor of
larger project when previously discussed, so.
This has been sitting for years, and
Right.
it's a pet peeve of mine, so.
Mayor?
When we do finally install the medallions, there is a certain way that they need to be put up in order. And I know I was told this by a couple of VFW members, that, no, you can't mix up the
Right,
line.
they'll get the right.
So let's make sure when we put those up, that we know what the order is. I believe Army may be first or something, Coast Guard last, but I don't remember I used to know.
I can communicate with the VFW, and I can have a rendering similar to what you see in the lower left there with the placement of the proposed medallions.
That's all. We don't want to upset anybody.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Eugene Wesley?
Motion carries. Okay, next is approval and agreement with Grace Masonry for additional brickwork at the clock tower fountains in the amount not to exceed $22,270. That is my motion.
Second.
So, go ahead, Mayor.
I have a question on those. So right now, we have the two spots. One side says wood, the other side says Dale. So
Right.
we're taking those out, and each side's gonna say wood Dale, and they fit, right? Because I was looking like 117 inches or whatever it was.
Correct, yeah, they are longer. They'll both say Wooddale, and they'll have the Leaf logo on both sides of Wooddale. It'll take up almost the
And
full length of the fountain bed.
That's why I wanted to make sure that it fits.
It will fit, yeah. If you're, in your packet, you see the rendering, that's how it would look on the side of that fountain wall.
Go ahead.
Just for
Madam-
some added clarity too, when we're discussing this tonight, I know the pictures have the leaves on both sides of Wooddale, but on the opposite fountain bed out there, I believe it still says established 1928 with the Leaf logo. So I know we all like the Leaf logo, but the Leaf logo is on the other side as well. So essentially you would have, 6 logos of the Leaf out there plus the logo of the Leaf and the brickwork. So one option could be just to have Wooddale because the Leaf is on both other sides and in the middle. So we would have to clarify if you want all those leaves like in the picture.
Any questions? No questions?
I just,
Go ahead.
you know, I agree with Jeff, you know, too many leaves.
You're right.
would Be an overkill and could draw away from the name of the town. So I'm not, that's part of this motion, or how you want to work that.
Well, we're gonna still keep the 2 leaves, or any suggestions in maybe taking one out, or?
You don't have that in your PowerPoint, I'm sorry.
No, I only have the proposal, as you see it in your packet, with the 2 leaves in there. If you'd like to consider taking those off, I could certainly get a new proposal with a new rendering and bring it to the council meeting for final approval, if that's what the committee would prefer.
That's fine, yeah.
I just think, don't-
Go ahead.
I just think seeing it up there will be a little better than the packet. That's what I'm just saying. So if you could take that and put it in the packet for Thursday,
Absolutely, I could have that prepared for you,
it will be a lot easier for us to see.
Right.
certainly.
Go ahead, Alderman Sismarski.
Hey, Jeff, I'm looking at it now, why are we putting it all in one word? If you guys looked at that monument, you know, well, you got the 1928, or whatever year it is, 1928, you got Dale. All you have to do is put wood and then Dale recessed. You know what I'm talking about?
Well,
Not the whole word, you just gotta put wood here and Dale, so you see the 2 words coming.
Manager
One
Mervis,
said-
go ahead.
The other way, it's wood Dale, it said recessed. I mean, you don't have to pull all those blocks out, all you gotta do is change the year.
Go ahead.
I think we kind of, the council already kind of vetted that out, which is what we brought forward tonight. What we were planning on doing next week for some further clarity before we pull the trigger is I want to put some pictures of the other side with the leaf and the established, so you can see there's a lot of leaves out there already. And the goal was to get rid of the wood and Dale, as we've had many negative comments about the wood and Dale. They're not visibly clear, and the council had selected it doing it this way. So now at this point, it's just more about the leaves, really.
I can understand that, but I'm saying if you took the 1928 out of there and had the wood there and Dale recessed, you see wood Dale, it's easy to see. You know what I'm talking about? Because one building's faded, if you're driving east, all you see is Dale and 1928. But if you take the 1928 and put wood there, and you see Dale, it blends. I don't know if you
Still
understand what I'm
separate.
saying.
Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah,
A lot of people said it that way.
I understand Alderman Sismarski's talking about these, where we're replacing is on the inside as you're walking into the clock tower. And it'll be on both sides, so you'll see it from both sides.
Right.
And the outside says the established, and that's.
Correct.
That's okay.
Okay, we've got a motion, we've got a second, and we're gonna see the renderings next week, correct?
If I could get them in time, certainly. If not, we will bring it to the next council meeting.
Okay, that's fine. Roll call?
Wait,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did we make, did someone make the motion?
I made
the
motion, you
Okay.
No, Art second.
That's fine.
4 people said.
I thought it was you. Okay, Alderman Jacob, go ahead.
didn't we also talk about putting a plaque out there too, when it was built or what have you?
Go ahead.
I thought that was discussed as well.
Peter's name.
Yeah, we're still working on the plaque. That's a little bit separate from this, but also additionally, I forgot to mention, we were going to pay for these costs with the liquidated damages that we.
Right. Alderman Woods?
Yeah, I was gonna say, so, Alan doesn't spend too much time, can't we just take this and white it out and represent it, right? That's what we're talking about, the leaves?
Yes, absolutely.
Instead of sending it there, having him do more work and possibly wanting to charge us for it and all that stuff.
Right, yeah, we had discussed
We know it's
this.
gonna be a little cheaper, so.
We had discussed this back in June, I believe, via conference, albeit, but yeah, we thought we had a little better idea of what the committee was looking for, so we can certainly hash it out first before we go further with
Right,
any.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Roll call?
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman
Yes.
Eugene Wesley?
Motion carries. Okay, next is approval of a contract between the City of Wooddale and Globe Construction, Inc. for the 2020 sidewalk replacement program in the amount not to exceed $21,342.
Second.
That is my motion. We got a second by Mike. Any questions? Go ahead, Alderman Jacob.
I said, at the end of that, there was a picture here. I wasn't quite sure what that picture was there for.
That, we were kind of low on quantities for sidewalk replacement, so we decided it was a good opportunity to do some concrete work at one of our pump stations. That's actually the driveway entrance to Water Tower 2 in Ward 4. You can see it's pretty badly beat up from trucks turning on it, so we decided it would be a better idea to replace that with some concrete.
Okay, so we're just gonna put like a concrete there instead of, okay.
Correct.
That's fine. I didn't really say that, so I just wasn't sure. Thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman Eugene Wesley?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next is approval of agreement with True North Consultants, Inc. for the Phase 2 environmental site assessment for 720 and 790 North Central Avenue in the amount not to exceed $18,895. That is my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any questions on that? Alderman Jacob.
Just one question. How long will, once they do that study, how long will that be good for? Because, I mean, this might not be happening
Right.
for a while. I mean, I don't want to have to do this study in 2 years again, because they're going to say you have to have it redone or something.
Right, no, it should be good for the duration of our preliminary design here. It should be, we'll only need to do this once, certainly.
Okay.
Roll call?
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yes.
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman
Yes.
Eugene Wesley?
Okay, motion carries. And the last is approval of an agreement with Williams Architects for the professional pre-design service for future public works facility renovations in the amount not to exceed $21,500.
Second.
That is my motion. Any questions on the motion?
The design of the building, this is for designing of the building?
This
Am I
is,
correct?
thank you, Chairman. This is actually for the preliminary design. We have Mark Bushhouse here from Williams Architects. They've been involved with this since we did the space needs analysis for Public Works. So I'm going to have him come up and give just a brief overview of where we're at and what's all included in this preliminary design scope.
Okay. Please state your name. Thank you.
Mark Bushhouse from Williams Architects. Thank you, Alan. Thanks for having us in this evening. Yeah, the proposal that we've given has a scope of work in it that's a preliminary project effort that would be needed whenever you would decide to make some decisions. This is about looking at the existing buildings and the ones you purchased and the site. Understand with civil engineers what your stormwater requirements will likely be. Have mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers look at the buildings and know what systems can be reused or would need to be replaced if this work were to happen. It would also have us then working with your staff to be sure we're clear on staffing, vehicles, and equipment that they need to handle. And then look at the space program to see what all would fit and what would not fit within those existing buildings. And then determine what might need to be added or maybe not added for cold storage or garage expansions. And then we brought Frederick Quinn Corp. as a sub-consultant to us to do cost estimating. They're a very good construction management outfit. And so they'd be working with us to prepare cost estimates. The goal of this is the city would then have a clear understanding of what this project needs to be, the scope it would include, and the dollars it will take to get the project done. So now you're teed up and ready for whenever you would decide to take next steps and plausibly move ahead with the project. And it's great you're doing the environmental assessment simultaneously, so that can be budgeted in as we look at the cost of the project.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have one, so after this is done, how long will we get a design building? Design.
With this, then, if you decided you're gonna go ahead and do the building, it would take a good 6 months to actually do all the drawings and design work for the building, then bid it out, and then have construction.
Okay.
So yes, you could start construction next year if you sometime if you chose.
Alderman Woods?
Yeah, so for clarity, you're not doing any drawings.
Conceptual
Under-
planning drawings, not detailed design or construction documents for bidding, no, this is big picture stuff, just to be sure we get the right scope and dollars.
Okay.
Alderman Messina?
Yeah, and I just wanted to clarify that, and that would take you 6 months to do?
No.
Okay,
This step is like 3 months, because there's some back and forth, we want to be
Okay.
sure you're involved in the
just
process.
trying to make sure, okay, understood, thank you.
Mayor?
This is just a rendering, right?
Site plan, conceptual floor plans, we're not really trying to design what the looks would be, this is basic scope and dollars.
Okay. Go ahead, Director Ling.
If I could, yeah, we had originally budgeted to do the total design this year, but at the onset of the COVID pandemic, we decided it would be prudent to kind of push this off. This is just a preliminary design to keep the ball rolling, so we're ready to go forward whenever we decide we're able to do that.
Right. Any other questions? There are none. Roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry, go.
Yeah.
Alderman Woods?
So, if you could, so that everybody understands what we're gonna get, maybe you could offer an example or send an example to Alan, who we could show at the council meeting, so we have a better understanding of what the finished product is gonna be like. Thank you.
Alderman Jacob.
Yeah.
Good? That's a good question. All right, bud.
Are you trying to say help? If there are no other questions, roll call on the motion, please.
Alderman Sorrentino?
Yes.
Alderman Woods?
Yes.
Alderman Sismarski?
Yes?
Alderman Messina?
Yes.
Alderman Catalano?
Yes.
Alderman
Yes.
Eugene Wesley?
Yes.
Alderman Jacob?
Yes.
Motion carries. Items to consider at future meetings? There are none. No items to consider. And also, but we do have engineering standards in September 24th, and the 50/50 driveway apron program coming up this fall. Need a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We adjourn. Thank you.
1 hour.